Good afternoon, everybody. I'm David Boyson, and as stated earlier, the information contained within is a summary of the protests and counter-protests that occurred on August 15th. And again, a warning, the content and images and videos some viewers may find upsetting or disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Is what you see here in this first slide is on the left is a social media post that we obtained on the Wednesday before the Saturday's protest. On the right, you see the original post that was put on social media by the Proud Boys earlier in the summer. Since that post had been made, we began monitoring social media to try to determine what to expect, and also researching into the Proud Boys group. The post on the left that we saw on social media that was put out by the counter protester, and it's in figure 1. And there were some words in there that really concerned us, some trigger words, some really strong language about KKK recruits and lynching, and we knew that this may elicit quite a strong response with counter-protesters. So we had that information going into our Thursday briefing, where we came up with our operational plan. And again, the counter-protest organizer assured us that this would be a peaceful demonstration, and they were only expecting 20 or 30 people to attend.
Yeah, so with that information, we as an organization at in the city, with the downtown partnership, we had a meeting knowing this information, and so we reached out again to the counter protest organizer. And as Chief Boyson just mentioned, through that contact, we learned that the counter protest organizer specifically said that 20 or 30 people would attend this peaceful protest. And so with that communication, I then spoke with the counter protest organizer and made him aware that we were going to have our crowd management team, and they were going to be available to us in their protective gear, what is known as riot gear. And they will be prepared to respond in any situation dictated. And that counter protest organizer stated to me that we should keep that team in an air-conditioned building somewhere else. So I attempted contact with the Proud Boys as well, who refused to provide any details about their protest on this day. We were also referred to their attorney, but he did not give any information either.
So just to piggyback on what Chief Coakley and Chief Boyson had said, when we looked at our staffing, looking at the August 15th event, we assembled our crowd management team off-site, prepared to respond to any civil unrest or violence. We ordered in additional public safety officers and placed them into squads, or small groups, and staged in various locations throughout the city, close to downtown. And we also coordinated with our mutual aid law enforcement partners, to include the Michigan State Police and our surrounding agencies, who provided us not only additional personnel, but some functional assignments were covered by them. And like I said earlier, when we let off, that KDPS made the strategic decision to avoid a heavy police presence that could spark civil unrest or violence. And I know it's been brought up that we didn't see a lot of police cruisers that day on August 15th, and that was part of our strategic decision. We had seen elsewhere and had experienced that the visual of a police cruiser can sometimes cause people to damage those, and we wanted to avoid that. So we had all of our officers transported in. We had a total of 111 officers that day for this event.
Thanks, Chief. So this is the day. This is August 15th, shortly after 1 p.m. And as I mentioned earlier, I was a boot on the ground, and I was at the location of the Arcadia Festival site. And shortly after 1 p.m., I began to observe men and women arriving armed with assault rifles. As you can see in the figures in front of you, these still photos, you can see the assault rifles. These individuals some of them had a conversation with the counter protest organizer. And what I observed after that conversation was these particular individuals who were armed with these assault rifles were placed at each entrance of the Arcadia Festival site. Again, this was deemed a peaceful protest. I had that contact with the organizer, and he stated that these people were pro his his organization, and they were anti-Proud Boys. So again, this is a peaceful protest. It was deemed a peaceful protest. And figure 6 and 7, this is the Arcadia Festival site, and figure 6 and figure 7 is the downtown area. As you can see, there are offensive and defensive weapons held by these two particular gentlemen. There's a stick and baton, a shield, and there's another, what I would deem a shank that's tied to this gentleman's arm here. As you can see on the ground in this picture as well, in figure 7, there is a bat. So this certainly changed the situation.
Yeah, so at approximately 1:30 p.m., we observed the Proud Boys begin marching down Water Street from the Rose Street ramp, approaching Arcadia Festival site. Again, this Proud Boys had advertised on all social media that they were going to start marching at 2. We later learned through intelligence that they intentionally marched early to throw off the timing of the scheduled event.
So the next 3 slides are going to be videos. If you cannot hear the videos, please let me know. We're going to have these videos run in their entirety. We might pause them, and then we're going to follow up with some still photos that point out some of the activities that occur within the videos.
And this first video is obtained from a bystander, but we have imposed over that our radio dispatch traffic, and that is synced in time with the video that you're about to see.
All right, field command units, it looks like they're gonna have a face-off here right in the corner of Eleanor and East Water. CR1, do you have a good visual of that? Paper. Command squads be prepared to deploy.
So what you're going to see here is the Proud Boys marching. They don't approach the festival site. They continue eastbound on Water, and you'll see on the left side of the screen is counter protesters from the festival site leaving the festival site, approaching the protesters in the street.
All right, the Proud Boys are continuing east on Water, and the other groups are heading southbound towards them. They're going to meet right on the corner here. All right, you have a skinnier black male in a gray t-shirt who has now entered the middle of the Proud Boys group and is blocking their travel. They're trying to get him out, and they're continuing eastbound. He's now trying to fight the majority of them. All right, they have deployed pepper spray, and they are now being kicked by the protesters on the sidewalk and engaged in multiple fist fights. They are in the middle of the street and they fight, probably 20 to 30. You might need to move in.
Okay, command, all squads, move in. Just limit to it this time to pepper spray and pepper ball. All squads, move in.
There's a male, red shoes, black shirt, holding a street sign which he broke. There is a white male in a gray t-shirt with a black satchel throwing a frozen pop can or something of the sort.
There's a PM with red black tank top with a large wooden bat that he is using to hit people with. He's on the north side of the street around water.
Okay, this next slide is one of the main trigger points of the confrontation. As the Proud Boys were marching eastbound, this individual that is highlighted with the gray tank top enters the crowd and begins to confront the Proud Boys and holds up their march. As they're trying to get him out of the group, other people from the festival site come in from the side and begin launching assaults at the Proud Boys, and you'll see a couple stills highlighted of that, but we're going to let this play through. This individual that you see in the gray will come up again several other times throughout this presentation. This is an overview of the same event, just a different angle from above of the same confrontation. We pause it here. You see an individual with a black tank top holding a wood stick. He comes up also later in the interview up by the sidewalk. There's one of the Proud Boys has become unconscious and is laying on the curb. He can be seen coming up, trying to hit the individual once, missing, and then returning and striking him in the head as he's on the ground. Again, this individual comes up later, and we later did arrest him for assaulting multiple people that day. So the crowd, the protesters, they marched eastbound, and after that, they turned south on Edwards Street, where additional confrontations took place.
So now, so we've arrived. We're going to reel back again. We talked about still photos. This particular figure 9 picture here is the first action of aggression against the Proud Boys. As the Proud Boys were marching down Water Street, if you recall, you see this gentleman with the long hair and the bandana. He has a frozen cup in his hand, or a cup with some type of frozen fluid in it. It was the first strike against the Proud Boys and an aggression against the group. The Proud Boys held the particular subject struck with this cup in line in formation and didn't allow him to return the aggression.
Okay, and approximately 1:32, what you see pictured in figure 10 is the individual with the gray tank top that enters the crowd and starts the initial confrontation and holds up the march. As that's taking place, as you'll see in figures 11, 12, and 13, is individuals that had come out of the Arcadia Festival site approach the group and begins assaulting them, throwing multiple punches. And then in the next one, you'll see a picture when the Proud Boys deployed pepper spray in self-defense from these assaults.
So approximately at 1:33 p.m., the Proud Boys deployed the pepper spray in defense from the assaults from the counter protesters. I must lead in, you can use pepper spray in defense of another. But this particular strike leads into additional fights with some counter protesters using sticks and other objects. In figure 15, you can see a counter protester rushes into the Proud Boys and begins to fight.
Okay, this is an overall timeline of the events. Approximately 1:33 p.m., as you heard in the dispatch, KDPS command orders all squads to move in and authorize the use of pepper balls and pepper spray if necessary. At approximately 1:34 p.m., less than a minute later, KDPS command staff is on the scene at the festival site and is attempting to contact the organizers of the counter protest to have them leave along with their followers. And you'll see this in coming up in video number 4. At approximately 1:36 p.m., squads 5, 6, and 7 deploy at the intersections of Pitcher and Water Street. At approximately 1:38 p.m., squads 5, 6, and 7 arrive at the intersection of Edwards and Water. At approximately 1:42, we declare a police zone and announcements are made for the Arcadia Festival site. By 1:47 p.m., approximately 1:47 p.m., the police zone is established at the festival site.
And Chief Boysen, I just want to jump in. So there's really 3 main skirmishes that take place. The original that we just watched on the video, that lasted approximately 60 seconds total. The second one's about 49 seconds, and then the third one, which is 34 seconds.
So approximately 1:34 p.m., I am looking for the counter protest organizer in the Arcadia Festival site. Along as I am looking for him, along the way as I'm looking for the organizer, I am asking for those who may be injured if they need medical assistance. At approximately 3 minutes later, at 1:37, I do locate the organizer of the counter protest, and I begin a conversation with him. And you'll watch this is from my body cam, and you'll watch this interaction in its entirety.
And at the same time, Edwards is having a skirmish.
Yeah, and at the same time, just to the south of this, where we're standing here at Edwards and Water, that would be to the right of the screen. There's more fighting going on between a counter protester.
Who needs a medic? Anybody need a medic? You good? You good? Ask the Taylor people to go home now. Now! All right? Fighting right there. You guys stay here. Okay. Go home now.
Yeah, I'd like to point out this gentleman right in the middle of the street in the black hat and the black shirt. As you can see his backpack, he has a bat within that as an offensive or defensive weapon.
Okay, and now you're gonna see again, as Chief Coakley is trying to contact the organizer of counter protests, this, what you see now is taking place on Edwards, just to the south of his location. You have a still shot in figure 15 of a counter protester shoving one of the Proud Boy members on Edwards Street. And then the next thing you'll see is a video, the skirmish on Edwards. So as the Proud Boys continue to march south, the counter protesters had followed, and they're continuing to engage them as they march, and they deploy pepper spray to stop the assaults and at least get some distance from the counter protesters. You'll see that in this video.
Media!
Carlos is in there again. There he is.
We're going to play it one more time. We're going to highlight a couple things. You'll see the individual with the gray tank top that we talked about earlier. He is again now on Water Street, so he's in about every location where there's an incident. And then after they deploy the pepper spray, the Proud Boys who sprays get struck in the head from the back of his head, as you'll see if we play this again and watch it again.
Now, right at the left of the screen there where it's highlighted with the pointer, that is, again, the subject that we're talking about.
Media!
Right here, as the Proud Boy is using mace against the offensive attack, you'll watch him be struck in the head by the gentleman behind him with an object.
Okay, this is more shots of the confrontation on Edwards Street. What you'll see in figure 16 is one of the Proud Boy members was struck with a stick or a baton. And then you'll see on the right a video of a Proud Boy member wearing yellow, and he gets struck with a wooden baton. I'm going to warn you, this one is very graphic and disturbing to watch, but he is doesn't even see it coming. It's struck in the side of his head.
So we talked about this gentleman in the gray shirt who has been in the fray in 2 of the earlier incidents of the 3 that occurred on this day. This is the gentleman. He is now on Rose Street in Water, well after 2 events. And here you can see and you'll hear that he's physically okay, talking with the MSP or Michigan State Police group, bike group, that is protecting this street or blocking the street from any egress or into the area of the Arcadia Festival site, because a police zone was created here.
We have this gentleman right here. Excuse me, sir. I noticed that these police weren't here earlier. Can you tell me what happened to you when you were back there down near Arcadia Creek? And are you all right, sir? All right. Can I get your name, sir? Carlos Donaldson. Carlos Donaldson. Thank you. You're a Kalamazoo resident? Yes, sir.
So I'd just like to highlight, this is the homeless gentleman that's been highlighted in print and media reference that he was assaulted on this day and hit with a glass bottle. So.
Okay, so what you saw after Edward Street is the Proud Boys continue to march, and they went to Bronson Park where they gathered there. Again, counter protesters followed them the entire way. Some were armed with sticks and batons, and various assaults were committed along the way. The figure 17 shows a couple protesters armed with wooden clubs. The individual on the left was later arrested. And then video 7 is a video of the protest at Bronson Park.
Oh, yeah. Come on. You've only lost 3 fights. Fuck you.
Okay, so after that gathering in Bronson Park, which lasted about 6 minutes, they then walked to the Rose Street parking garage. Approximately 2:01 p.m., command staff dispatches squads 8 and 9 to ask the Proud Boys to leave the parking garage, and their refusal to do so would result in their arrest for trespassing. As we can hear in the radio traffic that we're about to play, that command is given. Members of the state police, Michigan State Police, responded to the parking garage. They made up squads 8 and 9 for us that day. The counter protesters are throwing objects at the Proud Boys vehicle as they leave. Some are walking and running in front of the vehicles, and then counter protesters are then blocking Michigan Avenue so that traffic comes to a halt. And we're going to play that radio traffic for you now, asking us to asking the squads to clear the Proud Boys out of the ramp.
Break fan squad 8-9. Squad 5 in command. Yeah, by squad 5. Break squad 8 and 9. Squad 9, go ahead. You go into the Radisson parking ramp. The Proud Boys go ahead and tell them to leave. They're trespassing. For Radisson, they do not want to leave. Correct.
And just to be clear, our intent was we wanted them to leave as quickly and safely as possible to end this confrontation. We knew that the longer they stayed, the more fights we would have, and we just wanted them out of town. And so we did deploy officers to hold the people back so they could leave the ramp and leave town.
So this is the area where squads 8 and 9 were. This is over at the Radisson, or the Rose Street garage here, parking garage. And this is body footage, or camera footage of the MLive reporter being arrested. What we're going to do is play this video and the next video in its entirety. And Chief Thomas will have some, Chief Thomas and I will have some comments to talk about after both videos.
Move back. You guys need to move back. You need to move back, sir. Keep walking. That's it. Just on the tail. Okay, just on the tail. Come on. You're under arrest. You're under arrest. Come on. Thank you. Thank you. Move back. Move back.
So I just want to make a couple comments here, and we're showing these two arrests. These are two of the most talked about arrests, the arrest of the MLive reporter and the arrest of the legal observer. On August 16th at the press conference, I did apologize for the arrest of the MLive reporter. As you can see from the video, the MLive reporter was interfering in them trying to clear that area. But we also know that we need the media to cover these events, and we want the media there. And as we move forward, and as we've seen in the subcommittee report, that we have to get better at that, and there has to be education both of my officers as well of the media, so that that's easily identifiable and everyone knows what is allowed and what isn't allowed, and that everyone's easily recognizable. So as we move forward, these are definitely learning lessons that we have to take and figure out how we get better in these type of situations so that they don't occur again.
And just to add to that, the learning lesson is that in briefing, so in these type of demonstrations, protests, or any event, what we're going to do, and we've now engaged in a part of our strategic plan, is to talk about media or have a title of media in the operational plan, so the officers are aware before going out, and then even talking about it after that, and debriefing about the incident and including the media situation. So lesson learned.
So at approximately 2:55 p.m., command staff orders all squads to return to staging locations. The crowds have been cleared from all police zones, and the event was concluded.
So I just want to thank the media for joining us today and participating in this. We'll be releasing these videos and some additional videos on our transparency website, most likely tomorrow, as we go through these and make sure that what we can release is released. But I also want to take this opportunity to make 3 points in the spirit of moving our community forward. And as we have said, KDPS intentionally chose to avoid a strong police presence that day, with the goal of minimizing violence and de-escalating